All right. Well, happy Friday, Junior.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Yes, really excited tonight. Welcome, everyone. My name is Marina.
My name is Michelle.
And we go live. This is actually our podcast, the Flipping L's podcast, which we do live on YouTube twice a week. And, we started buying things to sell online 2 years ago. We're entering our third year now. And it's really amazing how selling things online at this time, 2021, is a really big deal, right? So it was not intentional, but it turned into a business for us. We're really grateful for that. And we do have a special guest with us today that is gonna, she's our colleague. She does the same thing that we do, but she has some other areas of expertise that we're really excited to discuss tonight about investing, right? So we're going to touch a little bit on that later, but without further ado, welcome, Terry. Thank you so much for meeting with us today. We're very excited and happy to have you here.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, y'all are friends now. So.
Yeah, of course.
If anybody bothers y'all let me know. I'll come and take care of them.
Yay, we have
hey, Brittany. Hey, Tiana.
So just want to do a little intro. So our friend Tara Lynn Dupree, aka Terry from Evolving Always. So she's been married for almost 21 years. She has one son. She has moved from a corporate job into reselling. And Terry, that's full-time reselling for you?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I do other things, investing, which I'm sure we'll talk about that later. I have a mobile notary business.
Okay, yeah.
So quite a few things. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Exciting. Mm-hmm. Okay, so reselling's part of the pie.
Yeah.
She is the president of the East Coast Stock Slayers Investment Group.
Wow.
She has had a near-death experience, which I'm sure we're going to touch on a little bit later. That sounds scary. Oh. And she's one of the wisest women that we know.
Yeah,
hands down. This is a truth.
So sweet.
It's true. It's true, though. So thank you again, Terry, for coming live with us tonight. We're very happy and excited to get the opportunity to get to know you better, to spend some time with you, learn from your wisdom, and thank you for sharing that with us and with our community this evening.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you, ladies.
All right. So would you like to get started?
Yeah, let's get to know you better, Terry. Where are you from? Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, sure. I'm in North Carolina right now, so I've been here for a while. I'm in Greenville, North Carolina, where East Carolina University is, and I actually landed here because I went to East Carolina University. After that, obviously, I got into corporate America, but I actually left Greenville, North Carolina, went to Phoenix, Arizona, and then ironically came back. But then we're thinking about moving again in the future, so who knows?
Oh,
but that's pretty much where I am for right now, North Carolina.
That's cool. We have not been there. We've never been there. Mm-mm. So we have you as our friend there. We're going to have to come and visit sometime.
Yeah, y'all would really love it, especially the Raleigh-Durham area. Y'all would really enjoy it. And of course, Charlotte. And hey, drifting by. How are you?
Hello, Rich. Hello, Brittany. Swag Slayer Fashion, Duncan. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us. So we really appreciate that we have our friends that are also resellers. They do the same thing we do. We can meet a couple times a week and kind of just share ideas and learn from each other. So, so South Carolina, Charlotte, and are you currently living in you said Greensville? Are you in that area still or near that area?
Right. I'm in Greenville, North Carolina right now. That is correct.
Okay, got it. Oh, how funny how that happened, right? You ended up there. That's really interesting. Mm-hmm. And so how do you like the area? Because you mentioned you may be moving out of the area.
Well, I love North Carolina in general because it's a very beautiful state. If you ever come here, I mean, obviously y'all are in California, and California is also a gorgeous state. I've spent much time there as well. But I think my husband's really not a big fan of Greenville, which is why I think we'll end up relocating eventually. So I'm not sure exactly what that looks like. But for right now, we'll be in North Carolina for a little while longer. Yeah.
like in the East Coast, I've only visited New York, but that's like a big city, metropolitan city, right?
Yeah. That's actually where I was born. I was born in Manhattan, New York.
Oh my goodness, look at that. So you're
Mhm.
a New York native. And then I went to Georgia to give a presentation. This was like 2 years ago. And I thought it was for work. And I thought it was beautiful over there. Like I wanted to stay longer and just hang out. I loved it. I thought it was
beautiful.
So nice.
It is beautiful. Yes.
That's kind of like my cup of tea there. But honestly, we like a little bit of everything when it comes to traveling and getting to know.
Yeah, I can see y'all in Georgia for real. It is a nice area, Georgia. And if you were doing North Carolina, possibly Charlotte area, or well, actually, y'all would probably love Asheville as well. I just thought about that. Yeah.
Good to know. So we definitely know we can ask you questions about that area.
Exactly.
When we have it. So we did want to ask you about you said your first
job,
high paying job in corporate America was at 24 years old. And so we wanted to ask you, like, what job was that and how did you get this job?
At 24, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Pretty young.
Yeah, basically, it was for a computer company, and y'all heard a little bit about that story from my friend Lisa, because I ended up getting her a job there too. But ironically, how I got the job was I was working for a telemarketing company, and I was making cold calls, and I called the owner's house, and I just kept like going after him, digging. I was like, he would say no to this, and then I would give him another reason. And it was just back and forth. And then like the only time that I finally shut up was like, he said, you should come work for me at my computer company. And, I said, so where are you exactly? So I got really detailed with him. And then, after the conversation, it was like, I said, he probably just said it to get me off the phone. That was my thought process at first.
Right.
And I actually called the company. And I said, you remember me? I talked to you the other day. He says, I sure do. So you're going to come talk with me? I said, yes. And so that's how I got the job. And I was like the second female on the floor because it was a male-dominated job. And it was back in the day when a lot of people didn't have computers. So, and I think you probably remember from the live story I was telling y'all, you have to spend like 5 minutes telling somebody had to turn on a computer.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah, but that was it.
I mean, how cool that you have that experience. I've always I love technology. I think do you love technology? You're really good at it.
Yeah, I'm more nerdy.
She's super nerdy when it comes to software. But how cool that you were, a woman in a job that was male dominated. Like, what was that experience like?
Well, it was interesting all around because not only was I was basically the second woman there. They had one woman in the educational department, but I was the only Black person in that whole office. So
wow,
interesting, and it was really crazy time. So I was glad I actually recruited a couple of people right off. Like I recruited a friend of mine. He was actually from Peru.
Wow.
So recruited him, and then I recruited Lisa. And then we were trying to change the dynamics of it, but it was an interesting place. But it was fun,
nice,
crazy, kind of like The Office, but I made good money there.
That's great.
So how long were you there for, and then what happened next?
Okay, yeah, I was there actually for 4 years.
Oh wow.
So then I got another opportunity with BellSouth Mobility. It was great pay, and it was just something different. So I decided to take that on, and it kind of went from there.
So what I was kind of reading a little bit of your notes. BellSouth Mobility was a mobile phone company. Is that what that was?
Well, actually, I'm sure everybody remembers BellSouth overall, the name.
Yeah.
They deal with phone service, but BellSouth decided that they wanted to get into cell phones. And of course, this was during a time when hardly people had cell phones except doctors, real estate agents, people, that are fluent. The other people that had cell phones were people that would get the bag phone and they would keep it in their car, and they knew they only had like a few minutes or their bill would be extremely high. That was pretty much how it was. So at BellSouth Mobility, they were trying to make the phones more mainstream. They were actually ahead of the time. They were actually getting into like smartphones in a sense where you can connect to your email.
Wow.
it was really cool stuff. And I was basically dealing with business accounts. So I talked to a lot of businesses, and they would have these like really savvy phones that people could carry. They started doing all the different colors, because
Wow.
back then the phones were just very basic looking, with the exception of the phone called the StarTAC. I don't even know if y'all have heard of that phone, but it was kind of a snazzy looking phone. But other than that, there was Nokia was very popular back then.
Yeah.
Just a lot of cool stuff.
So like, okay, so if you can give us an idea, like years wise, like around what years was it when you were in your corporate job at the computer company? And then around what years was it when you were in the mobile phone company?
Sure, I should be able to, because I left the computer company. It was around, I want to say it was probably towards the end of 97 is when I actually left.
Okay.
So it was around 98, 99. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense, because I remember my dad. So my father passed away in 96, and he was a business person. So he used to have a phone. I was just a kid and I didn't know really much about it, but it was like a car phone, but it was in a suitcase. So
that's right.
Is that what you, so
you are totally on it then. You remember what people had to deal with. They were carrying this little bag phone.
Yeah.
And your dad may have had, I don't know, your dad probably paid a lot of money for it too, because he was a businessman, because he apparently had to be on it a lot.
Yeah.
But some people would get it and have to pay these huge down payments to have it, and then they end up losing it because it was just so expensive. But yeah, that was the start of it. But I was coming into the industry, I was trying to make the cell phone cool for everybody. The only problem was, which was so funny, they had great products, great phones, and people would get the service from me, but then they weren't building the towers. So people would get these phones and they would drive a little ways and the phone wouldn't work. So it was really horrible.
Man.
Then I would switch out phones for them, because some phones did have more reach than others, depending on how they were designed. It was crazy times, fun times, but crazy.
So were both your jobs in computers and phone sales? Were you selling the products?
Yeah, I was selling the phones, promoting BellSouth. Yep, I sure was.
Do you remember? Oh, sorry. Do you remember like what the cost was of a phone?
Oh, it was expensive, but they would try to, they would come up with these crazy things so people didn't necessarily have to pay so much. But there were some phones. I'll tell you one phone right now that I always remember, because I even to this day, I would want this phone for some reason, even though it's archaic. But it's a Nokia, and it was like probably about this long, if y'all can see my hands, like this long. And it would open up and have a full keyboard, because this was their first foray into getting into the emails. This is for the businessman. Ooh. And so it was $1,000 for that phone. And you think about back then, that was actually a lot of money.
Yeah, back then.
Yeah. So it was really interesting. And I loved that phone so much. I was like, I want it, but I was like, I don't want to spend $1,000 for it. So a lot of phones were like $200-$300, which back then was a lot. I mean, now we're like, come on, that's nothing now. But yeah, back then it was a great deal of money.
How cool.
I feel like those phones are all now BOLO items. Like you could totally like sell them for a lot more money nowadays.
I'm telling you, if you get a hold of that Nokia that I was just describing, I am sure there's some people that want it, because it was totally awesome. I mean, it was the most, I don't even know why they don't design the way that phone was made. They should design it now, but of course have better technology. Yeah. Like I said, it was more so just for email, for the businessman trying to keep up with his emails and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like almost like a mini laptop / phone.
Yeah,
I think that would be so cool. You can make it.
I'm gonna see if I can find it, and I'll send it. Look, I'm gonna see if I can find a picture of it or something and send it to y'all so I can check it out.
That'd be great. Thank you so much. Awesome. So yeah, so later on, you mentioned that you went to work at a call center as a manager, but that you didn't really enjoy your job, even though the pay was also good. Would you mind letting us know about that? Like, what was that experience like?
Yeah, I had kind of did like a lot of different career moves, but within the same company. So basically it was Sprint was the initial company. So I had started with Sprint before that I actually did refinancing. I'm sorry, I used to refinance homes too. That was when I left BellSouth Mobility. So I refinanced homes. But then I did decide to go to Sprint. And with Sprint, I kind of wore a lot of hats. I did start on a ground floor, which initially was just a representative. And then I became a coach. And then I became a project manager, which I love being a project manager. That's when I went to Phoenix, Arizona, by the way.
Cool.
So I was a project manager there. And then they decided to close the project. So then I had to come back to North Carolina, and I was a trainer at first, and then I became a manager. But yeah, I hated it for so many reasons. Let me count the ways. I don't want to like bore people on that, but it was just really not a place that you can grow anymore. And so I was actually I did want to stay with the company, because at that point I had been with the company like 14 years when I was starting to really say, I can't deal with this company anymore. I had been with them for 14 years. So I was just trying to find another position, but stay with the company. It didn't work out. And I think everything happened for the best. I think it was just meant for me to go on, because truth be told, a lot of my friends were always surprised when I was in corporate America anyway, because I always had entrepreneurial, spirit. So they're like, yeah, I just can't believe you're in corporate America. So they would always laugh when they realized what I was doing. So I think it was just meant for me to just move forward.
Cool. Yeah. And how do you feel now? Because now you get to do what you want, right? You have different businesses that you manage.
Yeah, I love it now, because I'm around the people that I want to be around. You know what I mean? Doing what I want to do. Because I think that was the key, which is why I was like really suffering. Because when you work in a call center, and I think Michelle, Courageously Thriving, she actually knows what I'm talking about here. When you work in a call center, you're working around a lot of different personalities, just a lot of craziness, and then you have to deal with it. And you have to deal with it with a smile, and you have to, just be like, keep up real upbeat. And even though they're like technically dying and stuff, because I can't believe I'm here. It's, it was crazy. I wouldn't go back to it at all.
Yeah,
not go back to it.
That's a big telltale sign that it's not the job meant for you. When you're not happy, you don't feel good about being there. Yeah. Right. That's
exactly
something. I'm glad that you're not there anymore. But yeah, sorry that you had to go through that for a while there. But if you're in a position like that where you don't like your job, there's so many opportunities out there available to switch. It is scary, right? It is scary to do that, but you can do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think the problem too was, it was probably what I did, because I was kind of like always the go-to person. And so sometimes with the go-to person, it's like everything. It's like, go to. And that's okay to be the go-to person to a certain extent, especially if you're really trying to go, break that ceiling. But things weren't happening that way. So then it was just doing all of this stuff, and
right.
It was just crazy.
Yeah, if you are doing all those things and there's no growth potential, I mean, especially if you're the kind of person that has a growth mindset, which we know that you are, that's your name, right? Evolving always. So a person who has a growth mindset, that you must grow. Like, to be happy, it's like part of the equation, right? So I totally understand. So because like my job, my day job is teaching, and I love teaching. But it is difficult as a teacher sometimes to grow, because it's like, where do you go from teaching, unless you start like teaching other subjects, right? Where do you go from there? So I totally understand. I love growing. I have the growth mindset, and that's why I appreciate you having your growth mindset. So I understand on that. There's Rich, who said that he once worked for a call center, helping people get tow trucks when they broke down. I kept Reynolds wrap by my cubicle, and when people were nasty, I scratched on my headphone and hung up.
Rich, that's too funny.
Did you ever do that?
Rich, that's bold.
And thanks, Michelle, for saying to hit the thumbs up. Yeah, definitely hit the thumbs up. Thank you. Michelle is so sweet. I love her.
Thank you, Michelle. We appreciate that. Courageously Thriving. Thank you so much. So we want to get into your transition out of this job. So you got into entrepreneurship. What was the first thing that you did?
Yeah, well, basically, while I was working in corporate America, technically my husband discovered Poshmark.
Okay. And that's cool. How did that happen?
Basically, he wanted to clear out some of the stuff. Is it echoing? Because if it is, do I need to change anything? Are y'all good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Well, anyway, I did have a lot of clothes, and unfortunately, I still do. So he was like, "You have to use the site to sell some of your stuff because you get all these things." And so I pulled up Poshmark, and it was like, I really liked that app. I said, "Okay, you know what?" Because I wasn't an eBay fan at the time. That's changed. I do respect eBay now, but at the time, I was not an eBay fan. So I was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and do this. So I set up Poshmark, put some clothes up there, and I'm not even thinking about this is something I would want to keep doing. I was just like, well, let me just get rid of these clothes, get whatever.
Yeah.
And so did a few sales. I was like, oh, I really love this. I was like, this is really exciting. And so then I just started posting everything I could. And then that's when I started going out buying stuff. And that's when I said, I'm going to go ahead and find a wholesaler. And it just kind of went from there. So,
yes.
And what was so funny is when I was in a meeting with one of my managers, we were talking and I was like, yeah, I said, either I get another position. I mean, we were having a friendly conversation. So it wasn't an ultimatum, by the way. It was just me and him were talking. And I said, yeah, either I get another position. I said, I'm just going to leave and do my own thing. And that's why my story was so funny. We had a pretty good relationship, though. But I think sometimes when you say stuff like that, people don't take you seriously. And then when the time came, he was like surprised and he didn't want me to come. I'm like, yeah, I told you I'm like really leaving. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's when a good person leaves, it's really difficult to let you go, to let them go. So yeah, but you got to do what's best for you, right? Mm-hmm. It's your life. It's short. You got to do what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. So how did your husband find out about the Poshmark app?
He's always looking at stuff and he was on eBay. So he's been on eBay since probably inception, back when eBay was doing the checks and CODs and all of that crazy stuff. He was on eBay then.
Okay.
And he had so many horror things go on. Even though he stuck with eBay, I'll give him props on that. That's why I was like, I'm not doing eBay back then. But yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay. So he just knew about those things. He reads. Right.
Yeah, he's very tech savvy and he was always into apps. And so he just kind of messed around and he saw it. And he thought for me, because he knew how I was about eBay, he was like, yeah, this is perfect for her.
Aw. We have a comment here from Cheryl Neal. Welcome, Cheryl Neal. She said, I worked at my old job for 22 years, and now I have been at my current job for 4 years. So, Cheryl, which job is that? What's your current job? And do you miss your old job? Cynthia?
And as long as you're happy, that's the important thing. And hey, Cynthia, love you.
Cynthia, amen. She said, you're amazing and wonderful. I know you will want to keep growing. Terry Marina and Michelle. Aww. Thank you, Cynthia. We appreciate that. That's our friend. And your neighbor in North Carolina as well, right?
That's right. I love Cynthia. I actually met her.
Oh, you met her in real life. Awesome.
Yes.
I can't wait to do that as well. I feel like we talk so much online. We met online. We've never met in real life, but I feel like, we know you.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
We've met you. All right. So we do want to talk about investing because that's one of your strengths. That's one of the things that you know more than, most people that we know about. And especially as women, when it comes to earning money and compared to men, we earn much less, right?
Yeah.
And then depending on your ethnic background, you may, earn even less. So Latina women earn the lowest, I think, on the paycheck out of all the different ethnicities and male or female, right? So, and I'm a Latina woman. So it's just interesting to know that. But as women, it's empowering to talk about how much we are making in the workplace openly. That's our belief, because it will empower other women to ask for more money. If it's really definitely not equal. So even as I just mentioned, across just women, different ethnic backgrounds earn different amounts of money, right? So we've had conversations before, and it has with friends and family, women who are working in corporate, and we've discovered discrepancies in wages, and it has led to increase, asking for more, what do you call it? Salary. It has led to promotions and asking for more salary. So on that note, though, Terry, how can we use our reselling money to put into investments and supplement our income or grow our income?
Yeah, there's a lot of easy ways to do that, and especially if you're using multiple reselling apps, which I think lately a lot of people are, which is good. So obviously, you're going to always want some money to put back into your business. That goes without saying. We know that. So then you can always like have an account that you're streaming money just for that, to build up, your business, so to speak. But then have an account connected with one of your reselling apps that actually goes to a brokerage account. And let it go there. And what I mean by that, to make it simpler for you, you could do Fidelity, for example. Fidelity, I highly recommend to anybody because they have the best customer service. They've been around for a very long time. Now they don't charge commission fees. Now, if you want to, you can get fractional shares. So it's a great company. It's very stable. And again, a customer service is very key. They're constantly doing webinars. And once you're actually a client of theirs, they're going to be emailing you with webinars for you to learn more in the industry. So I do recommend using Fidelity, and you can get an actual check-in with them. So if you're doing that, what you can do, and I always tell people this, always invest 10% of what you earn. So, you sell an item and there's $50 that goes into your account. Then for me, I actually do 20%, but if 10% is fine, put $5 aside. And now because you get fractional shares, just put it into, something that you're interested in, whether it's an ETF or a stock. And just do that every time. And you'll be surprised how that money grows. It does grow. And you definitely don't want to sit in a savings account because realistically speaking, there's like no interest now in savings account. I mean, so you're just really doing nothing. Yeah, Brittany, definitely you can relate. But that's one thing I recommend. Another, if you don't want to do Fidelity, or if you've already set up Stash, because I do talk about Stash all the time, and I do love Stash because Stash has really evolved. I remember when it first started, and I've been with Fidelity for like ever, but when Stash first started, I kind of thought it was a joke because it really just did ETFs, and I would kind of like laugh at it. And then as it progressed, I was like, wow, this company is really growing leaps and bounds. And what sold me with setting up an account with them also was that you can do a check-in with Stash, get a debit card, get your direct deposits in there. And every time you use it, like for expenses like gas, food, if you want to get some coffee, you're going to get a fractional share of that. And even if that company is not public, like let's say, for example, you go to Chick-fil-A, because they're not public. But if they do, I'm on that one. That's the one stock I'm on beeline for, just saying, because Chick-fil-A is a very successful company, but they're not public. So if you did go there to eat, you're still going to get a fractional share of, like, they usually pick companies that are like similar, or sometimes they'll just put you in an ETF. So it's growing like that. And then the same thing, you can use that same account, just always invest like 10% of whatever you earn, and that's like the best way to go. And like I said, I typically do 20%, but, at least 10%. And I got that from The Richest Man in Babylon. I really love that. If y'all get a chance to read that book, that's really a good book. But just do that and your money is going to grow. You'll be amazed. Definitely.
So Terry, how long have you been doing that? And if you could give us like an idea on the percentage of growth.
Well, I've been investing for a while, but I will tell you this, to make people feel really good. We'll just talk about 2020. Mm-hmm. So like in March, we know the market crashed. I lost thousands of dollars, but I'm used to that because I've been in the market for a while. So my account went down probably 30 and 40%, when it hit. And I didn't stress about it because I know how it is. And I will tell you, when those dips come, that's technically really great times, especially if you're an investor, because that's when you really want to start packing some money in. So I even started doing some like odd things. Like, I don't know if I wrote to you guys or not, but I would do Uber and Lyft just for fun. And I was throwing money in my investment, and I would like take all of that money invested. I wasn't even doing 10 or 20%. I was just like the whole thing I was investing. But anyway, by the end of 2020, I mean, my account's 70% return for the most part on average.
Oh, wow.
In different accounts. So it really adds up.
Hang on one second.
But on the whole, realistically speaking, if you're investing in the right stocks, and definitely always make sure you're doing research. A place to go to for, free research is Yahoo Finance, but you can pay for a plan, but do go there. There's also another, and you want to get this on your actual desktop, but it's called Estimize. This gives you a lot of information on companies. So always do your research. And remember, of course, investing, it does have risk, but for the most part, it does pay off in the long run. I just want to give that piece of advice out there, but do your research. But what I really look for now, because I do a lot of long-term investing, I do all types of investing, but I'm not going to get into the other type of investing. I'm going to assume that all of y'all are new to investing, so I'm just going to talk about long-term. And for people that are new to it, I recommend thinking from a long-term perspective and picking really strong stocks. I call them Teflon stocks. That's just my name for them. But for example, can you picture a world without Apple? I'm going to go ahead and tell you it's not going to happen. Can you picture a world without Microsoft? It's not going to happen. And when you look at the records on these companies, with this information is free. You can see their earnings. You can listen to their earning calls. You can see their spreadsheets. All of that information is free to you. It's right on Google. I mean, like I said, use Yahoo Finance, use the Estimizer. It gives you all of this great information about how these companies do from quarter to quarter, from year to year. You're not going to lose. And typically you're going to, if you invest with that mindset, you should at least grow your account at least 30% per year, at least. And then of course you could pick index funds too that are doing really well. So, but definitely do your research and feel free to DM me. I don't mind. If I don't know the answer, I'll direct you to help you, find it. Be happy to.
That's some really awesome tips. So when you do, let's say, get your profit from reselling, do you wait for a dip to place a buy, or do you just invest?
That is a great question, and I love it. No, seriously, it really is. So that's a yes or no question. I'll explain in a moment. So obviously huge dips aren't going to what happened in March. Think about it. We didn't have anything like that until I think it was 2008. So it's 2008. And then what happened in March of 2020? There may have been a few slides in between there, but those are the two major slides that everybody really remembers. So I wouldn't look for that type of slide to happen anytime soon. But what I do typically is, let's say I get some money and I pick a stock that I think is a great stock, but it has an all-time high that day. Because, stocks will have it could be that all-time high for the year. I'm not going to buy that stock then. I'm going to wait till it goes back to where it normally goes. Then I'll buy the stock. Typically, that's typically how I do. So I would love to wait until big dips happen. But truthfully, the ones that we saw in March, it's probably going to be a while before we see one like that again. But if one happens, y'all know what to do. You got to start packing it up.
That's funny. Yeah, we definitely have the same point of view. Okay, when the market goes down, it's sale day. It's like when you have a discount at the store, right? Clearance or whatever. But a lot of people who are even investing already, they freak out when that happens and they want to take their money out because they're thinking I'm going to lose money or whatever. But here's the thing. It's okay, if you take out your money And you don't know, that's the thing about the market, is you don't know what it's going to do tomorrow. And all of a sudden it shoots right back up tomorrow, then you literally lost some money. Whereas like if you left the money in there, the stock market always goes up in the long run, right? So get your money back.
Yeah, if you pick great stocks, never take it out, because you brought up a great point, Marina. That is how you will lose money. If you take it out when that stock dips, stocks are going to always dip. Now, like I said, like what happened in March, that's rare, but stocks will have dipping moments. They will. So, yeah, that's a great investment too. What Brittany's talking about, she owns real estate that she's actually renting out. But yes, stocks are going to always take a dip from time to time, but you do need to stay in, because that's how you get the true gains. And she is right. Ironically, for some reason, some investors do get scared, and there's huge sell-offs. And that's why people that win in the stock markets are the ones that keep cool heads. So you got to keep your head cool. You got to be patient. Yeah, keep a cool head. I've been doing it for a long time, and I will go ahead and tell you this too. Consistency and persistence are really key when you're in a stock market, because if you're in there long enough, you'll see the good, the bad, and the ugly, but you'll see so many scenarios, and what you'll really see is that most of the time it's good. Mm-hmm. The bad and the ugly are few and far in between.
Awesome. Now I do want to get your take on what's going on with GameStop. What do you think of that?
Ooh, that is it's so interesting that I'm pretty sure they're going to make a movie about it. So I'm sure y'all heard about now, because y'all read it. Y'all saw it's a group on Reddit called Wall Street Bets. I joined them. Now, when I first read the article, this is so funny. When I first read the article about them, that they were the ones that kind of started this thing here, they had 3,500,000 followers. So I joined them because I said, I got to check out, see what these guys are doing. I woke up this morning, they had 4,500,000 followers. I checked again, they had like 5 million followers. They're probably at like 6 or 7 million now as we're talking right now. I don't know. I'll have to check. But anyway, to make a long story short, they're trying to get back at the hedge fund people who shorted these stocks of like AMC and GameStop because of the pandemic. But the reality is, it's not illegal to short. It's not. That's a part of the process. And
Terry, would you mind explaining what that means? What does short mean? Sorry.
And I'm sorry, because I should have explained that, and I apologize.
Okay.
Guys. But basically what they were doing is, because I knew these companies weren't doing well, because let's face it, AMC, I mean, we have a theater open here, but when you go, it's like about 5 people. You know, they're not making any money right now. Mm-mm. GameStop, I think they had to do something with their retail stores or something. I forgot. And then, of course, now people are getting games other ways. So these are a couple of companies that basically, there's going to be some changes for sure. They're not really making a lot of money, let's face it. So the hedge funds, which are big organizations, basically what a hedge fund is, I'm going to try to explain it the best way I can. Let's say Michelle, Marina, and everybody here right now, and me, we had a whole bunch of money. Like we said, I had $1 million, y'all all had $1 million, and we're going to put it together. And then we're going to start buying stocks, either, up, down, whatever. That's basically, in layman's terms, what a hedge fund is, if that makes any sense. So these hedge fund companies, they do all types of trading. And so one of the tradings they do, obviously, if the stocks are going down and the company doesn't have a lot of, I'll just say hope or whatever, like the companies I just mentioned, they're going to short them. It's kind of like a bet, but really it's not a bet. It's typically options that they're doing, option contracts, and they're called puts, but they're going to short it. And they actually make money as the stock market is going down for those companies. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of shorts on those companies. And you have millennials, which was in that group that I just mentioned a while ago, Wall Street Beats. So they wanted to get back at the hedge funds that were doing this. So they started pumping each other up and said, let's buy, go ahead and buy. And they started with GameStop first. There was a list of companies they're going to do this with. But it started off with GameStop, and it's like, yes, buy. So they're like egging each other on. If you read in the feed, if you get a chance to check it out, they're like pumping each other up, even to the point that there was this one guy, he posted that he had spent $5,000 for GameStop, because by then GameStop was like 300 and something. He says, go in there and buy. That's how they're doing it. So they're basically doing this. And what's so funny is part of the rules are no pump and dump. Now, granted, they weren't saying dump. They didn't say they were going to dump it, but they were doing a lot of pumping.
Yeah.
So that's basically what's going on. They were trying to do the run up again on AMC. There's a list of stocks they were trying to do the run up on. The hedge funds got very angry because billions of dollars were lost because they were in on these shorts. So, because options is a very risky thing anyway. And so I do options, but it's very risky. So yeah, they lost billions of dollars. They were trying to hold on to them because they didn't think the run was going to keep up, but they weren't looking at what we was looking at. When I checked that out, so they in trouble. I saw guys kept putting money in. It was crazy. They kept putting money in to GameStop. And even this morning when I first woke up, GameStop was like at 400 and something. It went down. It's not at 400 now, but it was at 400. And then y'all know Robinhood took it off.
Yeah.
Because it was so volatile. Yeah. Interesting
crazy
story. Yeah. Crazy.
You're right. They're gonna make a movie about that. I don't think that's happened before. And it's like the power of social media, right? That's why right.
And a lot of people are like, oh, the hedge funds people that are awful and stuff like that. But the reality of it is, what people need to understand is the hedge funds aren't doing anything illegal.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't illegal. Really, none of it's illegal. But what's happening now is causing a problem for the small investor, realistically speaking, because the market overall is not doing well. There may be some rules that end up affecting everyone. And then I'm concerned about Robinhood because, of course, a lot of them got mad with Robinhood. And even though I have like a lot of brokerage accounts, I always have love for Robinhood, because if it wasn't for Robinhood, we would still be paying for commission fees. Robinhood changed the game on that. So I'm like, it's interesting. That whole story is.
It is. Yeah. Did Robinhood close down completely, or just the
stocks?
Yeah.
Oh, just the stocks.
I was trying to look for it this morning and it wasn't there.
They closed down on those stocks. And what's so funny is, and a lot of people don't realize this is not the first time Robinhood has done that. Like when marijuana stocks first got on New York Stock Exchange, there was a lot of volatility there. And Robinhood did the same thing. So it's not anything new, but I think it might have been new to some people because they didn't experience it when it happened then. So yeah, they're like seriously angered at Robinhood. I heard a lot of people talking junk about it. Robinhood is going to open it up tomorrow slightly, but they're going to be like really, waging it and seeing how it is. So it'll be interesting to see what GameStop and AMC do tomorrow. It will be.
Yeah. And also Robinhood is, unfortunately, this is like a secondary effect, but another company could come in and be their competition now, because those, the people who are using the free commission free trades, like the millennials, I mean, that's like millions of people, right? So literally a new app can come in and they could just all say like, oh, well, we don't want to work with you anymore because you like messed up our trades, and leave that company.
That's what's happening right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's already happening, because the same group that I was talking about, and this part was hilarious, but that same group that I was talking about, they were like, set up a cash app, I mean, seriously, they're like really on this. And it was so amazing. Funny. They're like, set up cash app and, whatever. But of course they're going to get disappointed when they do cash app, because it's nothing like Robinhood. But I mean, it's great for like a regular investor, but not for somebody that's doing day trading. I wouldn't recommend cash app. So I don't know. It's funny.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So would you recommend everyone to invest, Terry?
I do, because like I was saying previously, and great question, Michelle, the reason I recommend it is because you're not going to get the lift in your money having a savings account. It's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And we already know it's putting it in a mattress is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But I'll give you an example. You could have like close to $50,000 in a savings account, and you probably won't even get $1 interest on that.
Wow.
That paints a picture for you. And if you really don't understand how that works, just get Tony Robbins' Money Master the Game. And it's a huge book. You don't even have to read the whole book. There's a couple of chapters when he touches on pretty much what I'm saying. if you kind of need to see it, more than what I'm just saying, or do the audio, whichever. But no, you don't want your money in a savings account. You want to invest, but obviously make sure that you're picking the right companies to invest. And if you need help, get a stock advisor. Get an advisor, not a stockbroker. And they're two different things, because with a stockbroker, he's not going to be concerned about your interests. He's just going to be into the interest of what's the market, how much money he can get, because he's going to be getting some commission off of this. And that's going to be his focus, not your interest. But if you get an advisor, they want to make sure that everything goes well for you if you feel like you need it. And there are people available for that. And if you want an advisor, I know one, just DM me. I know one on Instagram, so just let me know. Or just ask me any questions you need any help.
That's nice. And you are evolving always on Instagram. That's correct.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's very generous of her to say that. So if you are listening and you have questions about investments, Terry is a person to go to. She's your go-to. Yeah. So what about do you invest in a brokerage account or in a retirement account?
Oh, I do a combination. So I definitely have a retirement account, and everybody should, especially entrepreneurs. And thank you, my beautiful friend Lisette. Yes, everybody hit the thumbs up, please. But yeah, you want to definitely have a retirement account, and entrepreneurs is very important because obviously you're typically not going to have a 401k unless you do still have your job. So, and if you do still have your job, you have your 401k. My recommendation on a 401k real quick, and then I'm gonna go back to answering the rest of this question, is that if you do have a 401k and your company is matching, I'm just using this as an example, your company is matching 5%, make sure you're investing 5%. Don't get cheap and say, well, I'm only gonna do 3%. But company is willing to match 5%. That's technically free money. You wanna go ahead and do that so you get the full benefit. Does that make sense? So enough on a 401k, but if you just straight entrepreneur, you wanna definitely get a Roth IRA. So you want to go ahead and do that. I highly recommend that. And then I do have other brokerage accounts because I do different types of investing. Of course, I do a lot of long-term investing, but I do like swing trading, which we can always do another topic on that. I won't really explain it right now. But I do swing trading. I do options trading. So
wow.
I do different types of trading. So I have different accounts. Yeah.
How much time does it take to do this? Would you say per week?
Well, it depends on what you're really trying to do. When I was doing futures, which I've slowed off on that, but I'm thinking about getting back into it. But when I was doing futures trading, it was kind of like every morning for probably about 3 hours every morning. And we were doing it with a team of people as well. But I am thinking about getting into that. I'm just trying to see if I really have the time, because that one did take a lot of time because we're with a team of people and just a lot going on. So I'll see. So it just depends. But the type of invest I'm doing now, it doesn't take a lot of time because I'm mainly now I've just been focusing on the long term. And if you pick the right companies, it's almost like set it and forget it. Not trying to be funny, but it's true. If you're picking the right companies, I mean, granted, you want to check your accounts, obviously. To see if there's any dips, so you can buy some more of that. But other than that, it's not too much work.
Yeah. So, we have, as entrepreneurs, there's also the option to get outside of the IRA. So let's just starting from the very basics, there's an IRA, which is an individual retirement account. And then there's the two kinds, right? There's Roth and then just regular. Right. And for these ones, the government limits you, how much money you can put in to invest. Right. So I think, I don't know what it is this year. Is it 6,500 or did they raise it to 7,000?
It depends on your age too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So the older you are, like me, I get to put in more.
Oh.
But yeah, it is age. But I think you're right for probably most people in the audience. I think it is 6,500 though.
Yeah. So what's the benefit of using the Roth versus the regular? And what are the pros and cons of each of those?
Well, a lot of times with the Roth, it's you put the money in after it's already been taxed. So that's actually really good. So that's the main benefit of it. The other thing I like about the Roth is, well, for me, I'm just very self-directed on it. You can get, depending on who you get the Roth with, let's say you decide to open up with Stash, because Stash is offering that. they'll try to put you in ETFs, and just get with me if you're doing that, because I don't highly recommend it, because it's not that they're picking bad ETFs. You can get some lift from it, but it was very minimal. And if you can pick certain stocks and get a much better lift, that's just my recommendation. So try to make it self-directed when possible. And people that have 401ks, to a certain extent, you can get that self-directed, and it would almost benefit you, depending on who you have your 401k with. I know if you have it with Fidelity, there's an option that you could go in so they're not charging the fees, because there's fees with a 401k. So you really need to find out what the fees are. And I know Fidelity, like I said, they're a phenomenal company. If you're confused about where to go to make those changes so you can stop paying those fees, the reps will help you, because there's options you can change it so you won't really have the fees on your 401k. And to a certain extent, you can even self-direct it some to help it grow faster. That's on Fidelity. I can't speak for I know there's other companies that, you have your 401ks with. I just know Fidelity because I've been with them forever. So I know they do that.
Cool. Yeah. So I usually put my retirement money in just an IRA, and I use a Roth. So same reason as you. It's like after tax. So what's the benefit of that? Well, you only pay tax on income once, right? So if you pay tax already on it, you can let your money grow tax-free essentially. So when you withdraw that money, you don't have to pay extra taxes on it. So that's the benefit of that, right? But then I'm thinking I need to also put a little bit of money in the regular IRA, because I want to lower my taxable income for the year, right?
That would definitely benefit you for sure. I can see that. It's not for me, it would be that much of a benefit, but for you, it definitely would. I agree.
Got it. Yeah, and then Michelle has a 401k at her job. So I actually don't have a 401k at my job. I just my retirement is like, as a teacher, it's like the teacher fund. It's like a government thing. It replaces Social Security. As a teacher.
Do they do a match, or is it just more like a pension? Or
they do match actually based on your income, but it's more like a pension. It's a government fund. So yeah, it's like out of my hands. So when I retire, they will, instead of Social Security send me money, I'll get money from the teacher fund, whatever fund that is.
I know what you mean. That makes sense.
Right.
Do you have a certain time period that you work it to get that, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I think you need to work a minimum of 20 years before you could start, getting benefits from it. But again, the longer you wait, the higher your percentage. I believe, right? And and the way that it works with the teachers, and I'm here in California, so I know how it works here, is they take your highest paid earned year and go and they use that as the reference for the percentage you're going to receive your pension, when you retire. So that's kind of nice. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Right.
And Michelle, who do you have your 401k with?
They just switched it to Empower from Wells Fargo.
Ooh, okay.
Is that a bad move?
Not your fault, but I hate Wells Fargo as far as that. For 401k, I hate it. Yeah.
No, they moved away from Wells Fargo to Empower Retirement. I think it's a new company.
Oh, Empire. Okay, well, I haven't heard of them, so hopefully they're good. I just know I didn't like Wells Fargo, so that might be why they moved, because Wells Fargo is horrible. I did have a there.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna hit you up for some tips, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, I might check out Empire, because that sounds interesting, so I might have to check them out. Yeah, I have to get that look up.
And like another thing that we've been thinking about is, because we're thinking about, just for thinking about it, we don't know yet, but filing jointly, because right now we file separately. And if we do that, again, trying to get some tax breaks. If you have your own business, you can open a SEP IRA, which is for it's self-employed pension plan. And you can contribute as much as like a certain percentage of your business income per year, in addition to a individual retirement account. So we're thinking about looking into that, and we would each be able to get our own self-employed, pension plan.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, you should definitely do that. And Christy, what you can do is, so that's your old job. So does your current job, Christy, have a 401k?
Oh, she said so Christy Blocker said, I have a 401k for my old job. It's at Wells
Right,
Fargo. I never rolled it over. What's your take on that?
right. So Chris, if you can answer real quick, can you let us know, do you have 401k with your new job currently?
Hmm.
Well, while she's waiting on that, let's just say hypothetically you do, Chrissy. If you do, then I definitely would roll it to your other 401k. If you don't, I mean, you could do a couple of things. You could keep the 401k at Wells Fargo. You know, I don't like Wells Fargo, but that's up to you. You could keep that there, or you actually could roll that 401k into a Roth IRA. And I would recommend doing Fidelity if you did that. Because like I said, Fidelity is phenomenal. But
Awesome.
just let me know. You get with me, Chrissy. You like my sis, so get with me.
Yeah, and I believe so let's say you have a 401k at your job, but you have an IRA. Can you roll it into that as well? To your IRA? The 401k? I think you can, right?
You talking about if you're working at that job right then, or
no, because the IRA, you open that on your own outside of a job.
right. Mm-hmm.
So if you left your corporate job and then the 401k is still there,
yes,
can you
definitely.
roll that into your IRA? Okay,
You
that's
most definitely can. Yes.
that's awesome. Cool. Well, that was interesting.
You're so knowledgeable, Terry.
And so are you, ladies.
And I think it's such a great tool and tip for everyone, like when they're reselling. A lot of people don't know what to do with the profit. A lot of people, they could spend it like we built a backyard and then what, So you're really strategic about how you use your money and you let it grow. Let your money make more money, basically. So
yeah, you'd be surprised. A little goes a long way. It really does. A little goes a long way.
And the tips that Terry gave this evening about reading the book from Tony Robbins, I read the book, by the way. I think there were 2 and I read both. And that's the best tip. If you don't know much about investing, that book will tell you everything you need to know. Take your time, read it 2-3 times. And then if you have questions, hit up Evolving Always Terry on her Instagram account or YouTube.
And you're right. He has 2 of them, and you're right of it. So that's good. That's good to do that.
Have you read those too? Both of them?
Yeah. And what's so funny is it'll definitely open your mind when you read it. Even if you didn't read all of the book and you read the first couple of chapters, you'd be like, yeah, why am I doing that? Is stupid.
100%.
It's like an aha moment. So definitely
100%. Yeah. So she's giving her gems. Everything Terry said, they're gems. You do it so it's just normal, but no, everything you're saying is quality. So please listen closely to Terry. And Terry, one final question from Christy. Christy says, no 401k, but it's similar to what Marina said about her job. So that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I would just roll that. You can, like we were saying before, you can either keep it where it is. That's entirely up to you. It'll just grow. It'll be there for you, or you could just roll into a Roth IRA I recommend Fidelity, but
Yeah. If you didn't hear, Fidelity is a good one.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into some fire questions to wrap up our evening, if that's all right, Terry.
Yes.
So just answer whatever first comes to mind. It's a way we can get to know you a little bit better. So we're going to fire away. So what's your favorite hobby?
I love drawing and art, coloring, stuff like that.
That's really cute. Favorite thing to do when you're not investing or reselling?
Oh, so many things. Seriously. Seems like lately I've been really enjoying working out, as crazy as that sounds, but I have. I've been really enjoying working out. So
it can become addicting. We can do that. What is your favorite memory as a kid?
Well, didn't have the best childhood, but I can give you a very memorable memory. Would you like that?
Sure.
Okay. So we were in New York, and I had what I thought was my brother. His name is Tracy, and we were very, very close. I mean, we did everything together. And, we stayed in like this pretty large house. At least it seemed large to me because I'm young. I'm talking, I'm 4 years old. So it seemed really large. So I just knew he was my brother. So one day I'm staying at a relative's house like overnight. I didn't know why. I come back and he's gone. Like, where's Tracy? And she says, he's gone to his mom, which really confused me, first of all, because I totally didn't know what my mom was talking about. And what I found out later on, obviously, was that she was a foster parent. So she was taking care of kids. I never knew that Tracy was one of those kids. I just assumed he was my brother, and we were like super, super close. So it really hurt my heart. That happened because, she was getting divorced and she was leaving New York at the time. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was that so did you ever see Tracy again?
No, and I always wondered about that. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was a really difficult memory to share. All right, we're gonna go on to another one. If you can hang out with a famous person, who would it be?
Michelle Obama.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me too.
And favorite thing to wear when you're not working?
Oh my gosh. Sadly, apparently leggings, workout leggings at that, and sneakers and a t-shirt. Yeah.
How about favorite food?
Ooh. Believe it or not, this is going to sound like an odd answer, but I've been really into taco salads lately. Don't know why. So I'm just into the beans and all the vegetables, a little bit of sour cream.
Yeah, love a good salad.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the best and the worst stock that you've invested in?
Marijuana was like the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best stocks I'm still investing in basically is Apple. I did invest in Tesla. So,
Nice.
and those are some of the best I've invested in.
I got one
Microsoft.
more.
Yeah.
Oh, Microsoft. That's
Yeah.
a great one.
Yeah, Microsoft definitely.
One last question. Best investing tip for everyone.
Always do your research. The information about how the company's doing, it's out there. Definitely out there. So do your research. And just like with the GameStop, real quick, that stock is, well, let's just say hypothetically the stock had went up to 400. You could buy that stock, but that company is really not valued at that. So you have this company that has this really high stock and they don't have the value. They don't have the revenue. They don't have anything. So you don't want those type of stocks. You want stocks with companies that, they got things going on. They're making lots of money. Yeah.
Maybe it's time to short GameStop. I don't know.
Oh, there you go.
I have to wait on that one.
But I realized we never talked about your near-death experience, and you said it was a funny story. Did you still want to kind of end on that note, maybe?
Yeah, you're definitely gonna hear this one because it's funny and extremely bizarre.
Okay.
Actually, the most bizarre experience of my life. But anyway, I went to this Unitarian convention because my friend was like, "You've got to go. It's so fun. It's so fun." I'm like, "Okay, sure." So it's an event. We went to Virginia, Blacksburg, Virginia. And I believe it's Virginia Tech. Is that what it's called? Virginia Tech there in Blacksburg, Virginia? I think it's Virginia Tech. But anyway, so we went there and they had like a lot of different events, like caving, rock climbing. This event that I went on was supposed to be just streamless hiking. And the brochure even just said that streamless hiking, make sure you have a bathing suit, streamless hiking. So I had my hiking boots and I had a one-piece bathing suit with some cut-off sweatpants. That's what I went. So anyway, so I'm like going there. I noticed that the people are a lot older. So I was like the youngest person there, the only person of color. And the next youngest people were like, they were probably in their late 20s because I think I was 21. They were in their late 20s. And then the rest of the people were like 50, 60, whatever, but mostly 50s, 60s. So I was walking and it was a streamless walk. I'm like getting tired. And this guy's like walking beside me and he's like, he's all cool and everything. And then he tells me he's 65. It's like, oh my God, I'm like out of breath. He's 65 and acting like this is nothing. So then I started getting all like, oh no. So that was kind of funny too. So anyway, to make a long story short, we get to an area where there's a whole bunch of rocks. It's just a whole area. It's like a wall of rocks. Then there's like a stream. And he said we had to cross on the top part of the rocks to get over to where we had to go. And I'm like, first of all, I've done no rock climbing. And I said, I don't know how this is going to go. But then I saw these people going over, and they were going over like it was nothing. So then I go over and I realized instantly the issue that I was going to have, because I actually had on hiking boots. And I don't know if people really know what hiking boots are, but they're very tough because they have to be really durable for all types of things that you might be walking on. But they don't have a lot of flexibility. A lot of times they're just made that way. So I had on hiking boots. Well, I noticed everybody else was either wearing tennis shoes or they were wearing these, what they call the wet shoes. If y'all know what those are, which both shoes are very flexible. Mm-hmm. So anyway, when I started getting on the rocks, oh wait a minute, I gotta add one more thing. I'm sorry, guys. When we got to a certain point, the man that was the tour guide, he says, okay, y'all can take off your clothes now. And that tripped me out because these people literally took off their clothes with the exception of the young couple and me. Because we were like, I guess all three of us were like, what is going on here? So all these people took off their clothes. They had no clothes on, guys, but shoes, by the way. So I know this seems very unreal, but this actually happened. So they had no clothes on, except, the only people had clothes on were the young people, basically. We were wearing our clothes, our bathing suit. So anyway, now going back to me trying to go over the rocks, my hiking boots would not bend. So I get to a point where I'm spread eagle. And if you don't know what spread eagle is, it's basically you're here and you can't find any footing. And I couldn't, because I had the type of shoes that it was just everywhere I went, it was like the shoe was just going down because it had no sense of flexibility to it. And so I got really scared, but I didn't want people to know I was scared. And I was trying to keep myself calm. I've never been in this state before in my life. I'm not joking. I was trying to mentally force myself to stay calm because I said, if I panic, I'm going to fall, I'm going to die. And then because I looked down to see if I could just jump off in the water because I have done high diving before. And I said, maybe I can do that. But I looked down and that wasn't a possibility because the water was like, it might have been 2 feet and it was just a whole bunch of rocks. So I wouldn't have made it. So I was like freaking out, but trying not to freak out. But really, I was freaking out. So then I said, I'm okay. And I literally started laughing and crying at the same time because my mind was just trying to keep together so hard. And I've never done that. I mean, I was laughing. And I'm not talking about the laughing and crying because you're laughing so hard. You're crying because it's so funny. Not that type. It was the spooky type. And I know people were freaking out because I could tell on the look in their faces. Oh, that they were freaking out. They were thinking I was about to die too. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to keep together because I don't want them to think I'm about to die. And bless my heart. And because they were like, their faces were it was just all over their face. Oh. So these two guys, bless their heart, that knew what the heck they were doing. They were all around me. One put the rope around my waist. He says, it's going to be all right. I said, yes, I'm okay. I'm fine. But really, I was like, and they got me over. Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa. That is so scary. I don't know. I'm glad you were okay. I'm glad those guys were there for you.
Yes, thank God. And the
literally lifesaver.
Talk about this guy have no clothes on.
Oh, they didn't have clothes on either?
Yeah, you remember?
Oh my gosh.
It's so crazy. It's the craziest thing.
Now that should be a movie.
It should. Maybe I should. I don't know what we would call it because I obviously have to add more stuff to it. But yeah, it's so crazy times. But I could tell the whole time they were like really concerned for me because they were like, and I think the tour guide was like really freaking out.
Yeah.
And because it's like I said, but this wasn't in a brochure about doing rock. So I don't know.
What were they thinking, honestly?
Wait, so why were they naked?
Yeah.
Apparently they do it every year. That's the funny part about it because it was like, apparently they take that trip every year. It may not be necessarily at that location, but they take one summer because they were like all excited to, I'm taking my clothes off. And then one of the men was a doctor and he was like, you can take off your clothes. And sure. I was like, that's I really cannot.
That's creepy.
These are really staying on. And I was so glad the other couple, like the younger couple I was saying, I was so glad they kept theirs on. I was like, because I might have been just the only one and that would have been fine. Off. Mine were not coming off.
Oh man.
Thank you for sharing. I will never forget that story.
It's hilarious, definitely.
Well, it was such a pleasure, Terry. Thank you so much for your time, and we really enjoyed spending time with you. Thanks for all the knowledge that you threw in this live. I hope it really helps a lot of people out. It helped us out a lot.
Oh yeah.
So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I look forward to y'all coming over to my YouTube on Sunday. And
That's
thanks,
right.
everybody.
Yeah, and so what time is that again? If you want to let everyone know.
So for your time, it's 4 p.m., but it's actually 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
So 4 p.m. Pacific, right? Yeah.
Yes. And then you're Evolving Always Productions. Is that right? On YouTube?
That's right.
Okay, awesome. Right. So come visit us this Sunday with Terry again if you want to see more of Terry, which who wouldn't want to see more of Terry?
Well, we want to see more of the flipping girls, and I'm excited because they're phenomenal. But thank y'all so much for having me up here.
Yeah, thank you, Terry. We love you, and you're just such a lovely person. So thanks for sharing yourself with us.
And thank you everyone for joining. We absolutely love all the comments and feedback that you guys gave us too.
Yes, thank you everyone for being here. We appreciate you, and we can't wait to see you the next time. If not this Sunday with Terry, we'll be back next Tuesday at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. Final comment from our friend Lizette, New England Betty Boop, said, "No clothes. Who needs clothes?
You gotta go thrifting."
Anyway, everybody have a nice night.
Thank you, you too. Take care, Terry.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.